What's going on, guys? Waco from Revolution here at the Frederique Constant booth with an incredible array of cool guys. Let me go from this side. This is my buddy Ralph, one of the elite collectors in the watch industry. Would you say? Kind of, yeah, pretty much.
I wouldn't say so, but
Don't be humble.
very honored and humbled to be here. So
50 Fathoms Bill Spec on Instagram. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, Frank Gilman, founder of Monochrome. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you so much.
Very cool. MD of Frederique Constant, Niels Eggerding. How are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you.
My buddy Todd, how are you, sir?
Way great. Thank you for including me.
Todd Searles, incidentally, we did a documentary on David Thune together called Seeking Perfect. Great watch collector, great journalist as well, and Pim Koslag. I guess I don't know how else to describe him, but genius. Would we all agree there? Like, genius dude.
Let's do that.
Technical director, head of product for Frederique Constant, but also just tell him what brand you own. What brand do you own, Pim? He owns Christian van der Clough. So guys, today we're here to inaugurate this watch, which is our first collaboration with Frederique Constant. It is a monolithic. And the reason why we wanted to make this collaboration was in 2021 when this watch came out, it was like one of the most incredible technical breakthroughs in watchmaking. It basically was a watch that took 26 parts of the watch and just tossed them into the garbage bin. And that included the oscillator, the hairspring, the escapement, the anti-shock, and replaced it with a monolithic oscillator that beat it 80 beats per second, right? And it was so fast that these guys actually devised their own way of regulating it and their own way of measuring it. But I want to say this, and this is what I respect about Frederique Constant so much. In other brands, if they developed this technology, it would be in a watch that costs 30,000 Swiss francs. And there was technology in other watches
they probably need more time also.
And they probably took more time. Or a watch that costs 100,000 Swiss francs, or whatever. But what I respect about Frederique Constant, about Pim and Niels in particular, is they want to take the best in terms of technology and bring it to the people. What was the original price, Niels, of this watch?
We started back in 21 when we launched for 4,495.
Dude, that's insane for this kind of technology.
In the end, it was also too accessible.
Okay,
I have to say that.
Tell us a little about the adventure. How did the monolithic come about?
Well, it took 3 years of development, and back in, when was it? 2017? 17. We met Nima Toulou. He was the founder, owner, CEO of Flexus, a small startup company at the incubator Yes Delft Technical University in Holland. And he came to Peter Stassen that time. Listen, I have an opportunity. I think we can replace the full conventional assortment by one single disc oscillator by silicium. And Peter was so excited, so he called me. He said, Niels, I think we should do that. What do you think? I said, I don't know. So let's do it. So we rolled in it, and eventually Pim went over to Holland, and it went very quick though, because that's what we do. We go quick. And we had certain criteria, and the criteria were mostly driven.
Well, I think the first thing was that we want to have something like a heartbeat. Of course, Frederique Constant is really known, it's in his DNA. We invented the heartbeat, the opening in the dial that shows the regulator.
Yeah.
In a usual case, this is the balance wheel and hairspring, and in this case, this would be the monolithic regulator. So this was the first criteria, and it sounds easy, but it's quite a difficult one. And the other ones would be that it has a very long power reserve, because this regulator consumes less energy as a usual regulator. And the other thing is that it has to be precise and, of course, very stable.
6 degrees of amplitude. I mean, it consumes so
Only
much
6
less
degrees.
power. Yeah. Tell me the difference between the equivalent movement with a normal hairspring and balance wheel.
Well, if we talk about power consumption, we have used the same barrel as manufacture movement, which gives us a 38-hour power reserve. And in the monolithic, we have straight 80-hour power reserve.
Dude, that's insane. So you gain 50 hours.
50 hours only because...
But not even maximizing the result yet.
Yeah. Only because, it's more efficient. it uses less energy.
Okay, so now I wanted to explain why it is that I'm a successful journalist. It's because I read monochrome. And then
The confession.
I read everything, and then I just copy him, right? So I want to. So one of the first stories that I read about the monolithic that really made me understand how significant of a technical breakthrough it was written by monochrome. Frank, tell me about this watch when you first saw it. What did it mean to you?
Well, to me, I've seen a few watches coming out with something that uses a different way of telling the time or indicating the time. And if you have a regulator that does something else than the usual spiral, buckling, sort of, that is something that to me is completely new. And when I heard about the monolithic, I was like, okay, this is going to be big. I've never seen any proper, completely new regulator in the entire industry. Sometimes on very small scale, handmade, but this was industrial level, so this is next level. It's a new ball game, and we wanted to dig into it. Luckily, the company that did it was Flexus in the Netherlands, so it was an easy drive there and getting them to explain it, and we were immediately on board and triggered to do something with this.
Very cool.
And they were kind enough to explain everything to us and to show us everything. And then we got in touch with Niels and with the Frederique Constant team and discussed everything about this new launch. I think with the right amount of development and fine-tuning, this is going to be something really big in the entire industry.
I totally agree, but the journey to achieving the results that you wanted was not easy because you had this new technology.
It was very difficult.
But then you had to figure out how to regulate the technology, and then you had to figure out how to measure the performance of the technology because, of course, if you hook it up to a widget machine, it's not going to work. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, Pim came on a certain stage to me when that was still in the early stage. He said, "Listen, Niels, it beats so quick, so fast. We cannot use the regular widget machines to measure. So we need to find out what to search and what to find to start to measure." And then he came with a laser technique, what not at all in the whole industry is used. So we even had to instruct certain suppliers to help us to produce certain laser equipment to measure the oscillator, the speed, the stability. And all these kind of things came across along the road.
Normally you regulate or at least measure a mechanical watch with a microphone, and it listens to the tick-tack, and then it compares with a very precise mechanism, precise clock. But in this case, it sounds like a bumblebee. So
it zooms.
So it goes so fast, 288,000 beats an hour. You cannot listen to it. Oh, well, you can listen to it, but you cannot even know what the rate is. So in that case, we saw, okay, what are we going to do now? How are we going to measure? Because we can make it, but if you don't know if it's precise or not, it's not good. So we found a way to have a laser beam shining on top of the silicium disc, and then just right on the edge, and then it goes back and front, and it measures ones and zeros. Only that.
It's binary.
Very easy.
Right.
And then it compares again with a computer and a very precise clock. So then you know, how it's running.
Then the next problem came up.
Oh yeah.
The data that we measured with the laser had to be saved in the computer.
Right.
So on a certain stage, the computer was smashed, was done.
Was crashed.
First day.
No
First
way.
day, yeah,
because
the data was
overwhelming.
Well, actually, it's creating one line in Excel every measurement. So it takes, and at the end of the day, I have 80 billion measurements. So
the computer could not keep up.
Incredible. Todd, I want to ask you a question. You and I did this movie on Debut together. Denis Flageolet had sort of also experimented with high frequency, with his Resonique. We've had Guy Simon from Tag Heuer also working with microgirder. Tell me from your perspective why this breakthrough is so significant from a watchmaking perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a collector's perspective and from an outsider perspective, a lot of people look at watchmaking and think it's a watch. It does the same thing that it's always done. It does the same thing a clock's done. But I like to compare it kind of to the duck on the pond. Right. It might be very still on top, but behind the scenes, there's so much going on. and we're always seeking sort of mechanical perfection in watches. For me, this is such an advancement in technology, not only because of the increase in power reserve, the decrease in components, the lack of lubricants that are needed to run this movement. It just encompasses so much innovation in one package at such a reasonable price point that it's hard to compare anything else that's out there on the market. But the innovation in this, getting rid of 26 parts, 26 different pieces of a movement, and to have something that's beating at such a high frequency, yet produces such an accurate timepiece. I mean, comparing it to something like a spring drive, when you look at the seconds hand, it is that smooth. It's such an incredible watch and such an incredible technical leap. And so many people have worked with silicium in the past and not had great success with it. And actually, one of the things I was asking Pim about before was, how did you actually attach the regulating weights to this? Because I was so curious about the fact that it's silicium. It's such a fragile material. And that, I think, being a fragile material, yet figuring out how to master it and make it work. And I mean, obviously you guys have said there's still technical advancement to be done on this.
Sure.
So I'm very excited to see where you guys are able to take this movement.
That's awesome, man. Thank you very much, Todd.
Well explained, actually.
He knows his shit, bro. So then, I was so inspired by this technology that I remember approaching you, Niels, and you, Pim, and saying, hey, you would think we could possibly make a version of this watch? And we decided on making a watch that had this really dynamic contrast between something that was really contemporary in terms of the technology and really kind of vintage looking in terms of the dial configuration. We were very inspired by chronometers from the 1940s. And what was amazing to me was before the watch was completed in terms of its design, Ralph was like, I like your watch. I was like, what watch? He was like, the watch you're doing, Frederique Constant. So I didn't realize that Ralph was part of your internal design team. But
Sorry about that.
Ralph, tell us a little bit about how you learned about the watch.
So he did the design in the end.
Yeah, great job.
I give you all the credit.
Tell us a little bit about how you learned about this, why it appealed to you, and why you decided to do it.
Actually, to be very honest, I think you showed me the watch like last year during Watches and Wonders, so I have to be.
But it was not finished then.
No.
It was rough.
It was rough,
I
very
saw
rough.
a couple of renders, and I was like, yeah, this appeals to me a lot from a visual point of view. But I have to admit, I was kind of torn apart. I'm a medical doctor, and like Pim explained, there's no tick-tock in the movement, and that kind of went against my nature. There's no heartbeat, and you're challenging like 200 years of Swiss watchmaking, completely sort of throwing away the actual Swiss lever escapement, taking away 26 parts, like you said. And I was like, okay, what's left of the Swiss lever escapement? There's no real heartbeat in the watch anymore. It's like the mainspring giving its power to a few barrels and then to this slice of silicon. So I was like, yeah, being torn apart by really digging the design and the dial design and the classic dial layout. But sort of, yeah, is this still like a real mechanical watch? So I was torn apart by it. But in the end, I'm Dutch. I don't live I don't live that far from Flexes actually. So I was like, yeah, I need to have this watch. So yeah, long story short.
I think that's one of the, I really respect this. Silicon has been around since 2001 when the Freak was launched, right? But in every application of silicon, it was always traditional horology. So even in Ulysse Nardin, it was a derivation of Breguet's and Chapon Naturel. And since then, it's always been used as a Swiss anchor, whether you're using it for the skate wheel, as Patek did initially, for the hairspring, even if you're using it for the lever, even with integrated silicone pallets, it's always traditional watchmaking. What I respect about this is it just lifted the game by just creating something altogether new, which incidentally was very tough to do. Last remarks, Frank.
Well, if you look at a Swiss lever escapement, I mean, the entire gear train, everything can be completely optimized for precision and for energy optimization. And the thing that actually fucks it up entirely is the anchor escapement. that loses so much energy in the entire gear train. That's actually kind of weird, you know. So now you have an escapement that is extremely precise and extremely energy friendly.
Yes. I've always likened the Swiss anchor escapement to having sex with a condom made from sandpaper. So because of the sliding friction that it creates. Todd, Cyril, tell me last remarks in terms of the technology represented by this watch. What do you think?
I think it's an incredible achievement. You guys should be congratulated on that. It's just such a leap forward in technology. I'm excited to see how you embrace it and where you go with it. I also just love watching this thing beat. You know, it's you can hardly catch it, but it's like watching a hummingbird fly. It's absolutely beautiful to behold, and you know, congratulations to you guys for such a technological achievement.
Thank you.
You know, watchmaking is the history of engineering, art, and innovation, and you guys really have mastered that with this. So. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
No,
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Tim, thank you very much. Todd, thank you very much. Niels, any last remarks you would like to make?
No, the only remark that I want to make is that what you mentioned is right. It's the TikTok that we're missing, but the beautiful part is now the oscillator is almost perfect. Where it comes to a challenge now is the mechanical movement.
Oh, really?
That's where the two are coming together, and that's where you will see it has the potential of being the most accurate watch ever made in the Swiss history. But that still is a long road, but it really has that potential. But the mechanical part is going to be an interesting one.
And I should mention, because we've had a discussion also with these guys as well, we understand that it is groundbreaking technology. We understand it's not cost certified, but the intention is to eventually have it be independently certified, right?
Sure.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for allowing me to plagiarize from you.
Congratulations on a very beautiful watch.
You're very kind. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Todd, thank you.
you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you very much. This, guys.